If you're someone who is trying to become a full-time content creator in 2023, then in this video, I'm going to be sharing my 10 steps or 10 tips or 10 things to consider before becoming a full-time content creator. Now, these are things I wish I knew. These are things I wish I thought about before making the mistakes that I did. So I hope that you learn from my mistakes and then you do better and have a better understanding of things before you go full into your content creation journey. Now, the first step, right, the first thing you want to do before going full into your content creator journey is be intentional. Now, for every time that I have gone out on a limb to just do something in the spur of the moment, or I've seen something and I feel like, oh, this is a nice thing to do, and I hop into it without really sitting down to think through the entire process, I've had to revisit those things. I've had to cancel some of those things and totally stop some of those things. Another reason to be intentional is that the content creation space or the content creator space is still relatively new. Now, it's not new, but people still haven't fully accepted it as an occupation, right? Compared to a 9 to 5. So sometimes when you tell people, or when I tell people that I'm a content creator, I get some responses, asking if I'm still searching, if I'm still open to a 9 to 5, or are you really sure that's what you want to do? So are you telling me that you're not going back to a 9 to 5? So all of those things, all of those comments just show that people haven't fully accepted content creation as a full-time job. And it is, because there's a lot of work that goes into it without even thinking too far. When you become a content creator, you're going to have to start looking for clients, right? If you want to work with brands, if that's your money plan, your money making structure. And that involves pitching to clients. Now, if you're a 9 to 5 and you have to source for clients and you're in charge of, bringing in new businesses, what's that called? That's business development, right? When you're just starting out, you're probably going to be working on your own. You're probably going to be a one-man team. So if you have videos to create for your clients, you're probably going to script the videos, going to film the videos, going to edit the videos. That's the work of videographer, right? And you're doing that by yourself. You're probably also going to be your own photographer. You're also going to have to manage your own social media platforms and come up with your content strategy and your posting strategy and how you want to use your different social media platforms. That's an entire social media management role in a 9 to 5, right? So you're combining all of these things. You're doing all of these things by yourself, at least at the start, till you start making some income to now outsource certain services, right? So to anyone saying that content creation, is a hobby or it's a side hustle, it is for some people, or to anyone who says go and get a real job or leave that thing, like I've been told sometimes by some people, then remember that it is a full-time job, because there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes. It's not just pulling out your phone to record a video or pulling out your phone to take a picture and pose in a bikini. There's a lot of work that goes into content creation, especially if you're pursuing it full-time. Also understand that the journey may be lonely at the start, right? Especially when you've not started making any money to outsource. So compared to a 9 to 5 where you're in a shared space, you're sharing ideas with different members of your team, as a content creator, especially at the start, you're doing everything by yourself. So it can get lonely, it can get boring. You may want to have a change of environment to switch things up. So all of these things are things to consider, right? That's why you need to be intentional from the very start. You need to understand your why. So why are you going into content creation? Why are you becoming a content creator? What's going to set you apart from other people? Would it be maybe your personality? Would it be the way you edit your videos, or the way you edit your pictures, or the sort of brands that you work with, right? Or the niche that you're playing in, right? All of these things are things to consider, and they can only happen when you are being intentional from the start. Now you have thought through and you're sure that you want to become a content creator, you have figured out your why. The next thing to do is to put some structure behind your passion, right? Behind your content creation business. Whether it's registering a business or incorporating a company, do your research to know what works best for you, all right? Now, I forgot to give this disclaimer at the beginning of the video. I'm not a legal advisor, I'm not your lawyer, I'm not an accountant. I do not offer any of these professional services. So any of the legal tips or accounting tips that I will give in this video are based purely on my own experience. So before applying them, do your research, consult your lawyer, consult your accountant, and be sure that these work for you. Okay, now in my case, I incorporated a company, right? And sometimes I feel like I should have gone the step of registering a business first, because there are associated taxes that I wasn't privy to, right, prior to incorporating the company. So I did not understand the financial consequences of incorporating the company, and I had done it. I wasn't making any money. yet I had to be paying taxes or doing some things yearly. So that's why I said do your research, right? If you can afford to, as soon as possible, put some structure behind your content creation business. You do not know, you have no idea how fast your business can blow up. In fact, some lawyers advise that when you register a business or incorporate a company and you're signing contracts, you sign on behalf of your company and not with your name, right? So let's say I have a job to do with Google and there's a contract, there's a brand partnership agreement that I have to sign. Instead of signing as myself, instead of signing as Uchechi, I would sign with my LLC. What that does is that it protects my assets in the eventuality or in the case of legal issues. So let's say, for instance, something goes on, someone breaches the contract or the side of the agreement, and we have to go to court, or something has to happen, right? Or let's say I even work with another brand outside Google. Let's say I work with a skincare brand, right? I have influence for them. People have attached my name and my face to that brand, and then something happens and people are suing the brand, right? Because I'm attached, it may affect me. But if I have signed a contract with that skincare brand, with my company name, then only my company's assets can be touched, right? My personal assets cannot. But if I've gone ahead to sign that contract as Uchechi, then they can come for my house, they can come for my car, they can come for the money in my personal bank account. So all of these things, these are just reasons here and there why you should put a structure to your business, not just your content creation business, any business, as soon as possible, right? As soon as you can afford it. Again, taxes or tax laws are different from one country to another, from one state to another. So please do your research, find what works for you, and do that as soon as you can. Now, if you have gone the route or if you've taken the pain, to put some structure behind your business, aka registering your business or incorporating a company, then it just makes sense to also have a corporate account. Again, it just helps to be able to separate your personal funds from your business funds. It will help you in the long run. Do not underestimate how big your brand can grow, right? It helps you with your taxes. There are so many tax benefits with being a salaried employee of your company, right? So just again, do your research on all of these things and do what sounds best in your situation or in your locality. Now, a very, very, very important tip is to create your money plan, right? And what that means is deciding how you're going to make the money that you want to make in your content creation business. The most popular route, the most popular way of for content creators to serve people is to work with brands. So brand sponsorships and collaborations. But that's not the only way. There are so many other ways. You can decide to sell your own digital products, right? At the point, I created a photo editing course, a mobile photography and editing course, right? Because people had come on my page and they had seen my pictures and loved how I edited my pictures and wanted tips on how to take better pictures and how to edit on their phone, all right? So that's one way you could sell your digital products. You can do courses. You can start affiliate marketing. For instance, in the description of all of my videos, I have like a link to my Amazon storefront. Occasionally, I will link things like maybe my favorite products or, just drop links here and there, useful links and relevant links. Please, not just filling your entire description box with links that are not necessary to the video, right? So affiliate marketing is another route to go. There are so many ways you can offer professional services to companies, right? You can teach content creation classes. You can become a project manager. You can start a YouTube channel like I have done, right? Or like I'm doing, right? And then when you meet the requirement, you start earning money from AdSense. There's so many ways, right? There's so many ways. You don't have to rely solely on working with brands, as a content creator or as an influencer. There are so many ways. So you need to determine or decide how you want to make the money that you want to make in your business. It is very important, right? I didn't do that at the beginning. When I started, I was like, oh, I'm just going to be a content creator. And then each time I'll see myself panicking because remember, I had incorporated a company and was not aware of the financial implications or consequences, right? And then here I was not making any money because I hadn't really thought through the entire thing, but I had to be paying this yearly payment, right? Because I had incorporated a company. And minus that, at the point I had a Canva Pro subscription, I had to be paying for that as well. But I didn't have a money plan on how to make all of that money back, right? Or even how to make money in my business at all. I just felt like, oh, I'm going to be posting cute pictures and cute videos, and brands will come to me and we'll work and I'll make money in the bank and all of that stuff. It sometimes does not work that way. So again, intentionality. Sit down, decide how you want to make the money in your business, and create your money plan. This is what I'm going to do. This is what I'm going to focus on. Let's say you are good in writing. You can decide that you want to start writing blog posts for brands if they have a blog, right? Or you can decide that you want to, maybe you're good at writing witty Instagram captions. You can, put together an ebook or do a course on how to write captions, or even start writing captions maybe for brands or businesses on Instagram who may not be very good at writing converting captions. So there are many ways. Again, just sit down, be intentional, and decide on what you want to do to make the money that you want to make in your business. Oh, and I want to mention, when you're just starting out, please try to start out with the free things first, right? Especially if you've not started making money in your business. When I first started out, I spent so much money on a lot of things, right? I paid a company to create a website for me. I was paying for some subscriptions on multiple platforms. Again, remember, I wasn't making any money in my content creation business, right? But I was putting money into so many things without being sure of how I was going to get that money back, right? And let's even forget the financial implications, right, of all of those very poor decisions. I also believe I may have lost out on business opportunities based on some of my mistakes. For instance, I had a G Suite subscription, right, which is what helps you to have that very nice professional looking email. So instead of having hellouche@gmail.com, I'll have hello@uchechi.com, which is fantastic, looked professional, all of that, right? Now I had gone ahead to put in these email addresses or this email address in maybe Google Docs for PR companies or companies that were representing brands, that were asking for email addresses of maybe influencers and content creators for PR opportunities or invitations to events, and I will put this email address there. However, at the time, it got to a point where I couldn't afford to, keep up with my G Suite subscription because, again, I wasn't making money in my business, and I lost that email. Imagine all the places that I have distributed that email address. So now when anyone sends an email to that email address, it bounces, right? So please, as much as possible. So while having a hello@uchechi.com is fantastic, it makes me look professional, having a hellouche@gmail.com also works. So be sure of your financial strength, be sure of where you are before you make certain decisions. Take advantage of the free stuff as much as you can, and then when you now have the finances to be able to level up and go pro, then please go pro. But you cannot do all of this without having your money plan and without knowing how money will come into your business. The third thing you want to do is, or the third thing to do, or the third way, or the third step or tip, to becoming a full-time content creator is having a media kit or a portfolio, right? Now, if you're applying to a job or to a company for a specific role, you will not just say, oh, I'm interested in this role, I believe I'll be good, blah, 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 blah. You attach your CV, right? Now, because again, you're taking content creation as a full-time business, your media kit, your portfolio acts as your CV, right? As your visual CV. In it, there are so many tips, you introduce yourself, you display your analytics from your different platforms or platforms that you would want to work with brands with or on, right? You give your audience demographics, you put samples of your work, whether it's brand collaboration or things that you've done by yourself. Adding that because you might say, oh, I'm just starting out, or I haven't even started out, or I haven't worked with any brands. How can I have a media kit? It's simple. If you have identified the sort of brands that you want to work with, if you've identified the sort of companies that you want to work with, then start creating content for such brands, right? Start from your home. So let's say for instance, I would love to work with Canva one day, right? And I use Canva a lot. I use Canva to create my YouTube thumbnails because I do that by myself. I use Canva to do social media graphics from time to time. I use Canva when I'm working with clients, all of that, right? So it's simple. I can do a video, I can do a tutorial, talking about the features of Canva, maybe 1, 2, 3 here and there, maybe spread on Instagram, do some on YouTube. I can now add that as sample work in my media kit for when I'm pitching to Canva or any company within that category or niche, right? So that's the way to go if you've never worked with a brand before. I had a media kit before I started working with brands, but what I did was that I put samples of things that I have done. So thankfully, I would do product pictures, or I'll do videos of me using certain things with either services or products, and I'll just put all of that, link them in my media kit. So it's important for you to have a media kit or a portfolio, so that when you're pitching yourself to brands, or when a brand reaches out to you to say, oh hey, we want to work with you, blah blah blah, we found your page, we found your YouTube channel, whatever it is, right? You can just send a media kit, right, that just beautifully and visually shows important things that you want a brand to know. So that's an important document to have. So have your media kit, have your portfolio. It is great for showing off your expertise to potential sponsors and brands. Now, it doesn't have to be anything complex. You can create this on Canva if you already use Canva for your graphics or whatever it is you use Canva for. I created my media kit by myself and I did that on Canva. I'm still tweaking. Sometimes I look at it and I'm like, I can improve on this, I can improve on that and all of that. But there are so many media kit tips out there that you can look through and apply when you're starting out or when you're trying to create your media kit. And as time goes on, you can always modify, or if you can afford to, give to a graphic designer to create one for you. Now, if you're a content creator and you plan on working with brands, which is the most popular way or most popular route that content creators go, then you need a rate card or a rate sheet. And a rate card essentially is a list of services and their associating costs, right? So whether you want to do an Instagram feed post, an Instagram photo post, an Instagram video post, an Insta story, Instagram live, a YouTube video, YouTube full sponsorship, YouTube mention, whatever it is, right? A rate sheet or your rate card will have a list of all the services that you offer and their associating costs. Now, I'm sure your next question will be, how do I figure out what to charge brands, or how do I create my rate card or my rate sheet? In my next video, I'm going to share tips or things or questions to ask yourself, or ways to determine what to charge brands for your different services. So if you're not yet subscribed to the channel, make sure you hit the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so that when that video goes up, you're notified and you can watch it, so you can learn how to charge brands or how to set rates for brands that you want to work with. Now, the next step is creating your website. Again, this is on a if you can afford it basis, right? But let's say you cannot afford to go all out and create your website. I would advise that you lock in your domain name, all right? The last thing you want is to have a very successful brand on Instagram or on YouTube, for instance, and then you now decide, oh, I think it would be nice to have my own personal brand website or to have my company website, and then you go and you want to buy your domain and someone has taken it. People are very cruel, right? Some people go and buy domain names that do not even belong to them when they have no plan of using it, just so that they can resell to other people. So to avoid that from the start, once you're sure what your brand name is or what you want to use going forward, just go in and lock that domain. You can lock it for 1 year. You can buy it. That's buying. When I say lock, I'm talking about buying. You can buy it for 1 year. You can buy it for 2 years based on the domain provider that I use. Right, I know of 1 year and 2 years. Other domain providers, I'm not sure what the length of time is or what the duration is, but find out. Again, if you cannot afford to go all out and create or design your website, then just for now, getting your domain name or all the domain names that you can think of that you want to use is a good step to go. All right, it's very okay. I would love to point out at this stage that it's very okay for you not to have answers to all of these things, right? But just having them at the back of your mind helps, right? So that when you're ready to now start acting on these things, then you have things to act on, if that makes any sense. All right. Now, something else that is very necessary or very important, right? A very, very important tip is for you to learn the necessary skills needed based on what you want to do in your content creation business. For instance, I'm a YouTuber, right? And I also create content for brands, right? Now, at the moment, I'm in charge of the entire process. So my YouTube videos, I'm filming them myself, I'm scripting them myself, I'm creating my thumbnails myself, whether or not they look fantastic. I'm constantly improving on that. I am editing my pictures for my Instagram myself. I even had at a point created Lightroom presets for my photos to all look the same on my feed. I'm just in charge of the entire process from start to finish, right? So that has helped me to save on cost so much, because instead of maybe shooting a video and having to send to someone else to edit, or even maybe having someone else to even shoot the video and edit it, or maybe having someone else script my videos for me, or having to rely on a graphic designer to create my thumbnails, or even create my media kit, which I said I did by myself, I've been able to do all of these things by myself and save on cost, which is very, very, very important when you're just starting out and the checks haven't started rolling in. Another important tip is picking a niche. Now, this might sound controversial because people will say, "Oh, just post what you want and you don't have to be niched down." There was a whole phase, I think, on TikTok of not picking niches and just spreading your tentacles. And I'll be the first to tell you that works, right? But eventually you would have to niche down. So before I started my YouTube channel, I thought about things that I could do. I did my research and I was like, oh, I can do this. So I can talk confidently about so many things. Why box myself into a corner? So I'll do this and I'll do that. And I did, right? So when I started my YouTube channel, if you go down, I'll talk about sometimes Instagram, I'll talk about TikTok. I did like an email, I'll do email marketing sometimes. I'll talk about my favorite apps, anything that had to do with content creation, I'll talk about it, right? But as I have now, the more I do that, the more I realize that, I don't have enough interest in certain things to sustain that long term, right? And it's fine, it's okay. So it's fine if at the beginning you're not sure of the specific niche you want to play in, right? But eventually you have to make that decision. It's easier for everyone. It's easier for you as a creator. It's easier for the platform to know the sort of content you create so you can push it out or promote it to the appropriate audience. It's also important or helpful or easier for your audience. So for instance, on YouTube, the plan is to now talk exclusively, on content creation tips, whether it's the business side of it or your favorite tools and how to use them. Just now I'm focusing on content creation tips. Instead of talking about Instagram here, I'm talking about content creation here, I'm talking about being an entrepreneur here, I'm talking about being a mom on this other side, right? I can still touch on those things here and there and on and off sometimes, but my primary focus right now is on content creation tips. And who knows, I might still niche down further in the future, right? So it's okay, it's totally perfect, totally fine if at the start you do not have a niche or you're not sure of what specific topic to talk about, right? It's fine, just start doing the thing, and as you progress, you would figure out your strengths and you'll be able to put your laser focus on that and niche down. It's very helpful. It's just easier for everyone. Now this now brings me to the next step, which is just start creating the content, right? You cannot get better if there's nothing to get better from. You need to start creating content, for you to get better. You need something to learn from, right? You would always look at your first video, no matter how perfect you think your first video is. You'll get to a point where you look at your first video and you will cringe. There are some videos right now on my YouTube channel that if I ever hear anyone playing them, I would just block my ears because I'm just like, oh my god, why was I sounding that way? Or why did I look that way? Or what was that video like that? Stuff like that. So no matter how perfect you want your first video to be, or you want your first piece of content to be, you most likely look at it along the line or further along the line and cringe and be like, oh my god, what was that? Right? So start creating the content. Now this point is very dear to me because it pains me a lot. Now, it took me about 2-3 years before I finally started my YouTube channel, right? When I decided I wanted to have a YouTube channel. So I had thought about it. I was stuck in this cycle of analysis paralysis, right? So I'll watch videos, I'll go on trainings, I'll join trainings, I'll do this, I'll do that, and just, in a bit to learn how to start my YouTube channel, maybe how to film videos, how to set up my lights, equipment that I needed and all of that. And I kept doing that. Who knows how far my channel would have gone if I started when I wanted to start. I probably would have done all the videos, I probably would have made all the mistakes, and I would have realized sooner what I want to talk about on YouTube. But I started late and now I have a child. Now I'm married, now I have a child. I'm struggling with keeping a schedule, with keeping a filming schedule. because if there's no one around to help me with that, I can't film a video, so it's not helping me stay consistent with my YouTube upload schedule, all of that stuff, right? So imagine if I had started when I wanted to start. So please not be stuck in the analysis paralysis phase where you keep watching videos upon videos upon videos and keep taking trainings upon trainings, and then you do not start to do the thing. Do the damn thing. Do the thing and you would improve from there. You can only improve when you've done it, right? So whether you want to start writing blog posts, whether you want to start working with brands as a UGC creator or as an influencer, whether you want to start selling your digital product, whatever it is, when you get the idea, right, I would advise you to start working on the idea. Again, remember, you're not the only one with one idea. So many people have the ideas, but first to market usually would win, first and best. Now, so you finish all of this, right? You have started creating the content, you have put the structure to your business, you're probably making money at this point. The next thing to do is to create a process that makes your work easier, right? So let's say you want all your pictures on Instagram to look a certain way, then maybe look at creating a Lightroom preset so that instead of having to edit everything from scratch, you can just slap on the preset on your picture and make adjustments as each picture needs. Let's say you want to create or edit your videos a certain way, you don't want your videos to look a certain way, you can also create your presets on your different software. I recently learned how to create text presets in Final Cut Pro. So I usually want all my text to look a certain way, but I used to do that manually and it would make my video editing process more tedious. But I just recently learned that you can create text presets in Final Cut Pro, right? You can even get plugins. I also recently started getting plugins that will just make editing easier and faster. So anything to make your work easier, especially whether or not you're working within a team, right? If you're working alone, you even need it so that you can maximize your time better, right? So anything that would make your process easier, it's also helpful so that when you eventually start building a team, when you eventually start outsourcing to people, there's a guide for them to follow, right? Take advantage of AI. There's ChatGPT. ChatGPT can literally help you to write a YouTube video description. I'm trying to, like I said, I'm now looking at revamping my personal brand website, right? So and I'm doing that by myself. It's a project I'm doing, it's a DIY project, right? So I'm currently writing out the content for the pages on my website. And I got to my About Uchechi page, and I knew what I wanted to write, but I did not know how to structure it. And you know what I did? I just went on ChatGPT and I asked it a question and I put in certain things or certain terms or certain criteria and it wrote my entire about page for me. Of course, I'm not going to do a copy and paste, right? But it has given me a guide and it has given me something to work with. On CapCut, for instance, if you're doing your videos, you can add captions to your videos, right? So instead of manually typing on your captions and editing it, all you have to do is to just use the auto captions feature in CapCut and then now going to edit your text if it hasn't gotten a particular text or sentence correct. So a lot of apps, a lot of tools now have AI features. Take advantage of AI, right? It will make your life easier. I mean, of course, there's an ongoing debate on regulating AI, which I'm in full support of, because why on earth, can Rihanna's voice be used to sing a Jay-Z song? Right? It's just there's so many ethical issues when it comes to AI. So again, be careful, right? For instance, with ChatGPT, you're advised not to put sensitive or private information. So I will not, for instance, go there and say, "Oh, this is my PIN number." Blah, 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 blah. No, please use it sensibly, right? But just use the available resources at your disposal to make your process easier. It will make your workload lighter and it will make delegating tasks to team members or even freelancers like maybe your VAs or your video editors or your graphic designers easier. All right, so these are my 10 tips, these are my 10 steps, these are 10 things to consider before becoming a full-time content creator, whether in 2023 or beyond. These are things that I wish that I knew before I started, and I have now done a video so that you can learn from my mistakes and avoid them. Again, my next video I'll be teaching or telling you how, things to think about, things to consider when setting your rate so that you know how and what to charge brands when you are working with them. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, and if you're not yet subscribed to the channel, please subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye guys.